Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Tech Conversations. I'm your host Guillermo. It is October 7th. Hope you're all having a great day today. As you can see, it is a green day for me, up $1,200 today, over 1%. So very green day for us today here. We'll see what the rest of the day brings us. Now in today's video, I want to talk about the different order types on Webull for options. There's going to be 4 different types that I'm going to talk about and show you guys how to use. So before I get into that, all I ask is that you guys hit the like button down below and subscribe, guys. It really helps out the channel. Now, if you haven't signed up to Weeble yet, go ahead and use the link in the description below to sign up and receive 2 free stocks valued up to $2,000 after you deposit just 1 penny. Keep in mind, Webull has 0 commission fees, which is really nice, and it also offers full extended hours trading, so you can trade pre-market between the hours of 4 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and after hours between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can get in before the rest of the crowd the following day. It's also just nice to have an extra broker. You know, sometimes one broker is having technical difficulties, you can just use a different broker for the day, and it also just gives you more day trades in general. If your account is under $25,000, it's always nice to have some day trades available. Now for today's demo, I am going to be using the Webull desktop app. So if you go to their website, you can go to download here, and you can go ahead and download their Webull desktop app. It is free. It's really easy to use, really easy to follow along, and it just gives you the best experience overall. So let's go over to the Webull desktop app and let's talk about the different order types, how you can use this to basically become a better investor and a better trader. So let's go to the Webull desktop app here. So here we are on Webull's desktop app. Right now we are on the watch list tab. I'm going to go over to the stocks tab here. So right now, I'm currently on Apple. You can see a chart for Apple. We can see what Apple's current share price is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to one of my current positions that I'm in. I actually sold a put on ChargePoint, and I've been doing this for a while on Webull, selling puts on ChargePoint. I sold one for this week at the $19 strike. I'm currently up a bit, I still haven't collected all the premium, but I've collected some of it, and I'm going to use this position to show you guys here how you can use these different order types. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the right here on the bottom. As you can see, there's orders, and then there's this positions tab. So I'm going to click on the positions tab, and it's going to show you my current positions right now. So I sold a put on SoFi, I sold a put on ChargePoint, and I'm bag holding PaySafe. I've been bag holding PaySafe for a while on here, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. But let's go to ChargePoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, and it's going to switch over to basically that options trade. So it switches over to ChargePoint. So when I see the chart for ChargePoint, tells me how much this specific option is worth right now. So as you can see, I sold a put at ChargePoint at the $19 strike, expiring October 8th. This is a put that I sold on it. So right now it's worth around 0.42, right? So about $42. So again, I sold this put. Now let's take a look at what we can do here to better manage this position. And we want to manage it for different reasons. You know, sometimes things can get very volatile. Prices can change very quickly, or just maybe you're very busy with your life. You don't have time to be managing your positions at all times, right? These are situations where you're going to want to use these types here. So let's take a look here through all these 4 different order types. So I'm going to start with market. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this before in previous videos. When it comes to options, you really should never use a market order. Okay, and I'm going to explain what a market order is and how it would work. Now, a couple of things here. So since I sold this put for ChargePoint, right? If I want to close out of it, I have to do the opposite thing. So since I sold this put, I would have to buy that exact same put. So this is why I'm on the buy side right now. So if I wanted to close out of this, if I were to do the market order, here's what the market order does. Basically, if you use a market order, and I would only want one here since I only sold one put to close out of it. So if I use a market order, basically this is going to get triggered immediately when it's placed, and it's going to fill at the current market price. The problem with this is you have no control over the range of your fill price. And the problem with this is a lot of people will look at what the current price is, which right now says it's 0.42, right? And think, well, if I go ahead and do a market order, it's going to fill immediately and it's going to fill at 0.42. It's not going to fill at 0.42, right? Because most of the time this is delayed. What you see here is not actually what the current price is at. And so you may have an instance where you come in, you do a market order type, and you think, hey, I'm only going to pay $42, and it places it immediately, and you actually end up paying, let's say, $50, right? And so then it's like, well, I just lost, an extra $8 that I didn't think I would lose, and it does add up, especially if you have higher priced options. So that's why I always stay away from market types, especially with options. So that's how the market order works. You basically, it's going to trigger immediately, but you really don't know what the price is going to be. It may be a lot more than you were expecting it to be. So that's why you at least want to start with limit. Let's talk about the limit order type here. So with the limit order type, this is going to trigger at a price designated by you when entering the order, and it will be filled at the limit price or better. So what does this mean? So since I have a limit order type here, I'm saying if this option here, if I want to buy this option here, the most I'm willing to pay for this option is going to be 0.48, right? This is basically what it's saying. And so this gives me a lot more control because, for example, when I was talking about the market order type, I didn't know how much I was going to pay. I may have to end up paying $50 or so. By using the limit order type, now you have control over what's the most you're willing to pay to purchase this option. So I could change, let's say the most I want to pay to buy this is, $46. I would change this to be 0.46. And then as you can see, basically what's going to happen here is if I can get a fill at $46 or better, then I'll buy it. If not, then I don't want to buy it. So I have better control over that here. Now keep in mind that it's not always guaranteed to execute, right? Just because I place this, let's say at like 0.3, doesn't mean it's guaranteed to execute and I'll have to pay $30. If it doesn't actually get to that level or that price, it's not going to ever execute. So keep that in mind. It's not guaranteed to execute, but that's how a limit price would work. And that's why it's a lot better than a regular market order, because you do have more control over what's the most you're willing to pay here. Now let's go on to some of the more advanced ones. Let's go to the stop loss. Stop loss is very handy here, right? So how does a stop loss work? So in a stop loss, this is an order that's going to go live at a predetermined stop price. And of course, we're going to choose what our stop price is. So basically, it's kind of like just sitting there sleeping until it hits that stop price. Then it becomes active. And so once it does get to that stop price, it's going to be filled at the market price. If the market price never reaches the stop price, this order will never be triggered. So basically, if it gets to the stop price, it's going to turn into a market order. It's going to execute at whatever the price, the best fill it can get is. So for example, here I could do like 0.5, right? And basically, I would go ahead and place this order. And basically, what it's saying is, hey, if this goes ahead and reaches 0.5, then turn it into a market order and buy it for me. And why would I want to use this? Well, because remember, for example, when you're selling a put, which is what I'm doing here, you want the value of the option to go to zero, because if it goes to $0, that means you ended up collecting all the premium. If it starts to go up in price, right, you start to lose premium, you start to lose money. And so basically what I'm saying here is, hey, if this starts to go back up and it hits 0.5, I'm losing money. So I just want to close out of it at that point and collect whatever my profit is at that point, right? So I'm basically, locking in profits. You can kind of think of it that way, because once it hits 0.5, it's going to sell it for me, or it's going to buy this for me. And by buying it, I'm going to close out of this position. So that's how the stop loss works. So basically, if it goes up to the stop price, it's going to execute it and it's going to buy this option for me, and I'll be able to walk away with at least some profit. Because if I don't do this and charge point keeps going up and it goes to, like, let's say, 0.9, then I'm actually going to be down money, right? So might as well just lock in profits, take my profits at that point. Now the last one on here is going to be the stop limit order, which is probably the best one you can use here, okay? So let's talk about how the stop limit order works. So it's going to be the same as the stop loss. This order is basically going to be asleep. It's not going to go live until it hits that predetermined stop price. Once it hits that predetermined stop price, it goes live, and then it's going to be filled at your predetermined limit price or better. So very similar, right? Charge point right now, this option is worth 0.45. I want it to go down to 0 so I can collect all of my premium. However, if it starts to rise, I'm going to start to lose some of that premium that I've collected. So once it hits 0.5, I'd rather just close out of it, take whatever my profit is, and not worry about losing even more money. And so what's going to happen here, same thing, once it hits the stop price, this will get triggered, it will go live, and then at that point it's going to try to execute this option at the limit price or better. So I'd probably do something like 0.51 or something like that. So basically, if this option starts to go back up for charge point, if it hits 0.5, this gets triggered, and then it'll basically turn into a limit order. And at that point, it's basically going to say, hey, can I get it filled for $51 or better? That's the most I'm willing to pay after this gets triggered, after the stop price gets triggered. I'm willing to pay $51 or less. I'm not going to pay any more for that. Right, so that's kind of the difference between those four different options there. Again, stop limit, probably the best type, because you do have a stop price, and then once that gets triggered, you do have control over what's the most you're willing to pay or what's the least you're willing to sell, right? So keep in mind, you can also do this with selling the option. Obviously, I'm using buying because I'm talking about the option that I sold and potentially closing it here by using one of these different order types. So as you can see, these order types are very useful. Again, especially if you're a very busy individual, you don't have time to be looking at your options all day, or maybe you just have so many different options you can't really focus on all of them at once. So anyways, that's how you use the 4 different order types on Webull for options. If you have any questions about anything I just talked about, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Check out the Discord, link to it in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time.